Hello there, this is Rom coming back at you with yet another car video. Attraction is relative, and that's on many levels. I was inspired to do this video. I saw a clip on IG, and it was talking about, attraction is relative. And they had cartoons. One was supposedly real attractive woman, and one was an average looking woman, right? And the average looking woman, despite being average looking, got more men. And the creator of the clip was like, that's because the real beautiful woman was around women who were more attractive than her. So she wasn't the attractive one. Yet the average looking one was around women who didn't look as attractive. And I was like, that's deep on many levels. Many levels. That whole relativity thing is something that's a reality, and it is deep. Because, last night I was watching my graduate level school play American. They were playing Navy for the Patriot League Championship. They won, so I was happy for them and everything. But I immediately thought about that relativity thing, because my undergrad, St. Joseph's, the women didn't compare to the ones at American. I thought of one in particular who stood out at St. Joe's, but I remember she was pretty cool. She was cool. She was alright. But if she were to be at American, she'd just be alright physically too. She wouldn't stand out as much. She would be considered average at best if she was at American, because the women there were just on another level. But that, once again, is that relative thing. And indeed, that relative thing is bigger than just, women in an environment. But it's true. It's just like some dudes will say, well, an LA woman, an LA 8 or something. And I'm going to get into that 1 to 10 thing in a second. But that LA 8 might look better than a Miami 8 or a New York 8, People might argue about that. Indeed, I've known some people, they have said the women in their particular environment, they weren't as fine as a woman in another environment. It's that deep. And what I was going to say about that number, usually if I use that number system, I don't really go by it because that would suggest that shit is objective. But people in different places, different regions, will look at something different. That could be region, that could be racial background, country, ethnic group, so even social class. That's how deep that shit is. Even social class. It's all relative to wherever that person is, what they like, and everything, right? Like the race thing. There are a couple things. I never forget when this white woman was held up as having like the perfect butt by somebody, right? And a bunch of brothers looked at her. It was like, hell no. They weren't feeling her. Because in my eyes, she didn't have an ass. A flat butt. Guys be going crazy. Like, and there's probably some guys who probably feel like, oh yeah, she had a great butt, but some other guys weren't. It was relative. It was relative according to race. If you look at women who some white men hold up as attractive, or even some Asian men, or even some Hispanic men, and definitely some black men, all of them will hold up maybe somebody different as being attractive. Also depends on the country, the ethnic group. because I saw something else. I saw another clip, and somebody had shared a clip of like it was mostly African women plus a Mongolian woman, right? And wanted to know, if they were attractive. Now, most of the guys who saw these African women did not find them attractive. And that's understandable. And I could tell from what they were saying, their comments, these were white men. And you know what? That's cool. That's all right. It's like the Sicilian woman said one time, every race of people going to find their own race attractive and everything. They're going to find their own race attractive. And incidentally, whenever you point that out, you get some racist white guys who will say, yeah, well, how come all these brothers these black men going for white women? Honestly, it ain't because they're attractive, because they consider it easy. That's a whole other conversation. That BBC conversation, okay? That's a whole other conversation. But never attractive. If you talk to them, they'll say, nah, they just easy. Right? In their eyes. But if you ask them who they find attractive, it's typically going to be their own woman. Like every group is going to find their own group attractive. Like when people say objective, that's the dumbest ass comment. There's no such thing as objectively attractive. Because in order for something to be objective, your feelings can't be involved. Your feelings are involved. Even if it's just a little bit, your feelings are involved. It's like the example I always use when I talk about objectivity. Objectively, I'm driving a car. That's what this vehicle is. It's a car. You can't get past that, objectively. Now, how does it look and how does it run? How does it sound? That depends on somebody's feelings. They can't say objectively that's a bad looking car. They can't say that. They can't say that. Somebody think it look good. You get different cars out here. You can objectively say that's a car, that's a truck, whatever, but it's up to somebody's feelings how they feel about it. How it drives everything. It's the intangibles. Like you can't, and that's the thing. And that's the thing when you're talking about like attraction. Like I had mentioned before, I remember on one of my 1,000 jobs, me and this other dude thought this one young lady was like one of the finest women we've ever seen. We were just like, damn, she bad as shit. This other guy was like, what the fuck we looking at? And just to be clear, the young lady was black, and all the people looking at her were black. So even within a race, it depends. Even within a race, because then you got to talk about social class and all of that. When you talk about maybe a more shapelier body, more lower classes, and I put that in quotes, more lower classes tend to like a little bit thickness and tend to like those breastises and everything, whereas more higher classes tend to like the woman slimmer. And even that depends on the nation. Like if you like Mauritania, and they actually have fattening camps. And shoot, I've heard of fattening camps in also parts of West Africa. They want that woman a little thick. I remember I saw a clip of some women at a Nigerian fashion show. These were some thick old women. They were shapely, but they would be considered fat in maybe some Western cultures and stuff. And indeed, all of that plays a part. In fact, even when it's multiracial or interracial or something. Because I remember on one of my 1,000 jobs, I had a manager on a job. It was at a gym. A manager, man, she was a white girl, but she had a sister body on her. I remember one of the brothers said, "Oh yeah, that's why so many brothers were interested in her. That's why she was interested in brothers, because it was relative." But I remember what this brother said. He said some white guys probably call her fat. Even though she had, flat stomach and all of that, but she was thick, Or maybe some, trailer park type of white guys would probably go for or something. And let me just say, it's not right or wrong. Everything is just relative. That's the key thing. Relative. That's why, even when that whole 1 to 10 thing, really, every man got to go for what he considers attractive, what he considers fine. Because everybody's not going to agree. Like that clip I saw, some dude or somebody putting up those African women. And a lot of guys not liking them. It depends who they show it to. Show that to the guys who actually live in those countries. They probably be like, oh yeah. And here's my point with it. Go for what you like. Seriously. Go for what you like. You might like that stallion. You might like that stallion. I know it's, I'm high friends with a couple, some women at my gym. They would be considered, maybe too thick for some guys. But other guys, well, they use the term stallion to talk about them. Right? Or some guys might say, they prefer them slimmer and stuff. Right? And in fact, even, I remember, like, when somebody tried to, say something's objective, like somebody, always get somebody try to hit me with that, and I look somebody dead in the eye and call them on that objective thing. Tried to say some movie star was objective, and I was like, her? Well, if she was in my presence, I'd be like, it depends. It depends, because when you're looking at somebody's attractiveness, so many things go into it. And it's never just the face. It's the body, whatever. Even in my book I wrote, Meeting Attractive Women, I said whatever a man considers attractive to himself. Different guys, like, even if you use that number system, and you say you have a woman up there, you say, okay, have 100 men, and you hit each one of them and say, okay, what's the number? They were all going to give different numbers. She might be considered like a 9 to some guys, maybe a group of guys, but some other guys may look at it and be like, her? They might be like 2. And they'd be dead serious too. You can hook them up to lie detector machines or whatever, because it's all relative. And what's the point with all of that? Even talking about all of that, you don't worry about it. You worry about what, as a man, first of all, you worry about what you like. Oh, and let me hit something else too. Just like it's relative for a man, it's relative for a woman. It's relative for a woman what they like. It depends. It depends on the same factors. It depends where they're living. Like you might have a woman. She might, only guys she's choosing from might be in an area where all the guys are slim. They might all be a certain race. Might all wear their hair a certain way. They might be a certain social class and all of that. Certain ethnic group. It's going to change. It's different for each individual person. Like you get some guys trying to act like they want to look like somebody else. Like I had a guy, and I'm gonna mention him. Man, it wasn't a bad thing. I corrected him, but he was thinking body game meant he had to be brolic. In fact, I had another guy. I mentioned that a few weeks ago. He hit me up, and he was specifically talking about a well-known content creator, right? And he was like, well, he don't practice body game. I was like, well, he had a woman. A woman liked it. Because what did I say about body game? Body game is just your best body. And then seeing which women like it. That tells you everything right there. And, you know, every woman ain't going to like your body. I don't care what you do. I don't care how muscular you are, how big you are, shoot, even how tall you are. Every woman ain't going to like it. You know, no matter how handsome, how many women have told you you're handsome, there's some woman who ain't going to like it. And it's going to depend on several factors, once again. You know? Like I said, it's going to depend on the environment. It's going to depend on the racial background, ethnic background, class background, everything. Shoot, even religious background. Because, you know, I always talk about my little friend who's a hardcore Christian. And let's put it like this. She ain't fucking with no thugs. Anybody who look too thuggish or had their hair out, all that shit, got some locks, you know, that's a big thing. Got some locks or anything, even got tats, she don't even find that person attractive. They gotta look like they be going to church as much as her. And she be in church about, 7 days in a week? About at least 4 days a week she be in church. She just got engaged to a guy who be up in church too. I checked out his profile. I was like, oh yeah, nothing but church stuff. But that was relative to her, you know? See, don't get caught like that. Like I said, don't be caught up in other people's stuff. Whether you don't, it's like on two levels. First of all, your main relationship is with yourself. So don't get caught up into not liking or not looking like somebody. You don't know. It depends on where you at, who you dealing with, social class, whatever. You know? Like, I don't have any tattoos. I have no problem saying that. I say all my scars are my tattoos. But I probably wouldn't go over good in a neighborhood or an environment where the main guys have tattoos. You know? I probably wouldn't go over good there. But then if I'm in an environment where the guys generally don't have tattoos, I'll be all right. You know? And I probably wouldn't go over well with ratchet women. You know? So there's certain classes I go over well with. Certain women I don't. Some women be like, yeah, let's hand it to them. Other women be like, ugh. Shoot. When I was walking out the gym, I purposely said hi to two women. They didn't say nothing back. I just laughed about it. But I looked at them and looked at what they were presenting. I was just like, okay, whatever. I'm not on there. I'm not relatively attractive to them. But then there's some other women, shoot, they be like, hey, what's up? And I'll be like, okay. You know, and you got to go with that. So first for yourself, you got to just be your best self and see who like it, right? And then whatever woman you like, don't worry about trying to impress somebody else. Don't get caught up in it. Seriously, whatever you like, what do you like? What woman you smile when you see her? What woman gets your dick hard? Don't worry, don't be caught up in thinking, oh, I gotta impress this person or she gotta be some number. All she gotta do is be a number in your head. Hell, everybody else might see her, and if they put a number on her, might say 5. But to you, you might be like, damn, she a dime. And that's cool. That is cool. Everybody's going to look at somebody different. They're going to get along with somebody different and everything. You don't worry about it. You ain't trying to impress anybody else. And if anybody try to say something, you don't worry about it. Like, well, shit, why you worry about? In fact, you look, I've said this before, I'm going to say it right now. You look them dead in the eye and say, why you worry about where my dick go? or would get my dick hard, especially if it's a man. Talking about they wouldn't mess with her. All right, that's good then. That's one less person you got to worry about trying to get at your woman. That's one less person. You know, because it's relative. Wherever you at, whatever you like, and don't worry about it. And yeah, you get some bammers out there trying to say, well, something's objective. Man, fuck them. Look them in the eye and say, man, you sound stupid as shit. And trust me, I will look somebody in the eye and tell them that shit's stupid. Because I've had shit. Over the years, I've had guys like point out a woman to me. I had women point out a guy to me. I couldn't really tell from the guy. But, you know, they'll point out a woman to me. They show a picture, say, man, she fine. And, you know, you be like, as long as you think so, though. And that's all that matters. That's all that matters. You know? Because the shit is relative. The shit is relative. So many factors go into it. Okay, what you gonna do, man? Man, they be hitting that place. There's a dispensary right there. Like in the state of Maryland, herbs are legal. Man, sometimes I drive past there, man. Somebody coming out there every, like, in the morning, no matter what time. In the evenings, it be like a lineup. Man, I mean, if I wasn't so indulged, I'd look into that business. I ain't so indulged, though. I don't be messing with those. Anyway, right? Yeah, it's all relative. It's all relative. Depending on where you at, who you hanging out with, all that shit. You don't worry about anything else. You go with, first of all, you fix yourself up to your best extent. See which women like that shit. It's different depending on where you at, who you are. Different women gonna like it. Because one of the things I would say you do, you figure out like, okay, which women checking for you, right? Which women checking for you, right? What's their type, and everything about them. Their physicality, racial background, ethnic background, country, social class, religion. Which one's checking for you? So everything. Which one's checking for you? Which one's not? And then focus your energy on the ones who are. Because it's all relative. And don't worry about everybody else. Don't worry about what somebody else say. You ain't trying to impress nobody. You ain't getting paid for it. You know? Like there's an NBA player, I don't know. This dude played for the Bucks. I can't pronounce his name. He's the brother who's from Greece. I can't pronounce his name. I know his name. I see it written down, but I can't pronounce it. I ain't gonna embarrass him. But people were tripping over his wife, and I'm thinking, he's the only one who need to like her. Shit. If he find her attractive, whatever his values are, that's it. See, and hold up, I was about to go, but look, ultimately, if you're dealing with a woman, she need to reflect your values, all right? So whatever you trying to get with, whoever you trying to deal with, your values. Don't worry about everybody else, you know? Don't worry about everybody else. You find that you're looking for that woman's in cooperation with your operation. And your operation is based on so many factors. You should worry about that. Fuck you. There's no objective shit out here. Anybody who say it is on some whack shit. I will look them dead in the eye and tell them they some whack shit. Seriously. You know, objective shit, because if it was objective, everybody would look alike. Even that height thing, you know. Because I look at a lot of people, Hispanics, Latin American, all of that. It's been rare I found one that's taller than me. Extremely, extremely, extremely rare. And they be getting theirs. they be getting theirs. So even that height thing is whack. It depends on the country, the social environment, everything, ethnic group, race, everything. Sure, you go to parts of Asia, you don't see too many dudes who like some over 6'2" or something like that. So it all depends. It's all relative. So just remember that. So anyway, that's all I have for today, y'all. Get back with y'all. Peace.